Hi folks, my name is Kenneth Price, and if you haven't watched my other videos, I come back into the benzo recovering community to extend experience, strength, and hope, and faith. I went through a very painful, frightening, difficult withdrawals, plural. I was 25 years polydrugged on countless psych meds, including benzodiazepines. 4 milligrams of Klonopin for 2 years, and before that, the Valium and the Xanax. Polydrugged, in addition to street drugs, in addition to alcohol. Folks, I'm one of you. But the reason I make these videos is because I'm what this community calls completely healed. And I come back and I always want to deliver a message. If there's one thing this community needs, is positive reinforcement, and mine comes in the form of faith. This morning, I want to read you a story that's true. It's a story about a miracle. I think all of us need to hear stories about miracles. Okay, so here it goes. I had to write it on my computer and put it on my iPhone. So I'm going to read from my iPhone what I wrote in this video this morning. Okay, folks. I don't really like the word miracle because it sounds very woo-woo and religious. But let's face it, folks. Life for humans is just not easy on most days, and for many of us, on some days, it can seem downright unbearable. And if you're going through a benzodiazepine or psych med withdrawal right now, you know exactly what I mean. Therefore, I believe miracle stories are more than ever needed right now, especially for the purpose of my outreach in this community. So, here comes mine. 3 years ago, I was in a very compromised place. For most of my adult life, I have been on psychiatric pharmaceuticals, and coming off of those pills has not been easy. To move myself through the buried trauma that has been coming to the surface with a vengeance since being off of those pills, I have chosen to immerse myself in a spiritual community which has actually been stirring up more stuff than I believe was actually being healed. But more on all that later, okay? So anyway, it was around 3 years ago that I was taking a walk in the park, having to face some very painful, what I would call demons. I was in a great deal of emotional pain, and I was basically praying my ass off. Help. I've never been a religious person, for obvious reasons, because I came out as a gay man in the 1980s. But for some reason, I have always had what I guess would be considered faith. You have to have faith to go through one of these. It was a sunny afternoon and I was just walking and asking for help. That's about as simple as my prayers get on most days. I'm not much of an environmentalist, to be honest, but for some reason I felt guided to pick up a dirty hairband from the grass that afternoon and stick it in the trash. The next day, on my next walk, after having had a rather restless night's sleep, I took another daily walk. I've been a 12-stepper most of my life, and in that program we always reach out and call others for support. But on this morning, nobody was available to talk. Again, like the day before, walking and praying, there appeared on the bike trail this time another hairband. I can't tell you what prompted me to pick this one up like I had done the day before, but again I reached down, picked it up, carried it to the trash like I had done the previous day on my previous walk. I think you can guess where I'm going with my story by now. Enter day number 3, walk number 3, and hairband number 3. The only thing different between day 3 and day 1 was my attention. Immediately I forgot about my own pain and picked up not just a piece of trash this time, but instead picked up what I consider just might be more than dirty refuse. Was this a sign? Now, I know you know where I'm going with this, so let's leave out the details of the next 3 years of my life and just draw in what is pertinent to this story from my readers who would like a miracle story. Hairband on the sidewalk in front of the Muddy Rudder in Portland, Oregon. Hairband in my friend's barn in McMinnville, Oregon. Hairband in the high desert of Duchesne, Utah. Hairband on the pier in Oceanside, California. Hairband in front of Ace Hardware in Camas, Utah. Hairband at Lowe's in Wilson, North Carolina. Bank parking lot, Lake Oswego. On the pier on the Willamette River. Gas station, Boise, Idaho, and on and on and on and on. I don't know about all of you, but is this some sort of coincidence? Is it raining hairbands from the sky? Are you finding them all over the place like I am? The reason I ask is because I have here, I made a chain out of them. A collection of hundreds of them. I find them everywhere I go. Now, this story is important because, like I mentioned to you earlier, I live with a great deal of emotional pain. And although I do not want you to think I'm some sort of a Debbie Downer, I have to transparently confide with my reader, or my viewer now, that emotional pain has become a familiar companion in my story, especially since I chose to drop all pharmaceuticals and face what arises every single day head on, including the withdrawals. Okay, but here's the point. Remember that prayer that I was asking at the beginning of my story about how I was taking a walk and asking for help. Help to find the strength and the courage to move through decades and decades of buried emotional trauma. I will let my reader fill in the rest because this is a story that is not over yet, folks. I'm still finding them everywhere. This hasn't stopped. But let me share with you what I have gathered thus far and how I have chosen to use this specially designed synchronicity, my specially designed synchronicity, to harness the courage and strength to continue to do this hard and difficult emotional healing work. Okay, first off, here's what I know to be true. I don't know where they're coming from. I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. Okay? Yet they still keep showing up over and over everywhere I go. There's another one. But probably what matters more is how they make me feel inside. And the vision in my head which accompanies every new find. Okay. Are we living in a random universe that operates according to the laws of chaos, where we have no control over what happens to us? Is our psych med withdrawal completely randomly dependent on the healing of our brain chemistry alone? Is our pain a problem that we need to fix? Or what if our pain, when faced courageously, contains a mysterious portal? Okay, this is important. Could our pain then perhaps embody some sort of meaning and purpose? And what if, for example, there was a larger guiding hand of play, one that knows for us what is best in our lives? And even though we can't smell, taste, touch, hear, or see this force, what if this force still did exist and was, in fact, crafting this world for a great big mystery that was engineered for our betterment? And what if copious amounts of prayer did penetrate the veil so that signs were dropping from the sky, kind of like hairbands? A good author is not going, a good author or a teacher is not going to tell anyone what to believe or to think or conclude, but instead just present the facts and the evidence and let each person come to their own conclusion. If you would still prefer to remain cynical, that's fine, folks, because trash is trash, and I will admit used hairbands are actually quite disgusting, and people with long hair should be more conscientious and stop throwing their gross refuse all over the place. But then again, what if these men and women with long hair were being prompted to drop these hairbands in specific locations prior to my arrival, and this was all pre-planned to make it possible for one man to continue to harness more faith and continue to face these very difficult and painful emotional demons that must be processed and alchemized for the sake of simply opening his own heart. We've got to turn these stories around, folks. Do we have a cheering team? Question mark. Are we being guided? Are these worthless fabric rubber band scrunchies more than just trash? Could this even be a trail of breadcrumbs, perhaps out of a cocoon? Are the hairbands being sprinkled on my path to make it possible to believe in something much greater than myself? Something beyond the five senses? Because I can't explain any of this. To end my own nonsensical atheism. Make a believer out of me. Are these also being sprinkled so that I can stop trying to resolve the stories in my parable, which will never have any answers? Can we simply live in the mystery, folks? Even when it's painful, and maybe especially when it's painful? That's it, everyone. Listen, I'm a bright guy. I'm very well educated and very well read, and for all of my intelligence, I can tell you one thing. I have been quite stupid most of my adult life. I thought I knew how this world works. I simply don't. And to be honest and frank, I don't think any of us really do. And to those of us who are being asked to patiently ride out a withdrawal, our stories are quite painful. But this story can also be quite helpful. On the other side, can we harness the faith that a new life with miracles may be awaiting us on the other side of what we're going through now? Because it was for me. And not in spite of our withdrawals, but because of our withdrawals. This is why I'm a mystic now, folks. Mysticism is about the mystery itself. And I don't know where these hairbands are coming from. I have absolutely no idea. But every time I find another one, here's what I know to be true. How they make me feel inside. I feel encouraged. I feel hopeful. I feel less fear. I feel less alone. I feel at peace. And I feel loved. Loved by what or whom? Well, perhaps that really doesn't matter anymore. I simply feel loved. And it isn't that the point of our lives anywhere here on earth? Because if it is, that's fine with me. Love is not a feeling that could possibly ever be hoarded. It's just the opposite. Love must be shared. And sharing is purpose. And could purpose be the answer to that prayer that I was making 3 years ago when I took that walk in the park? I thought I was praying for healing, folks, and yet, instead, now I have purpose. Or is purpose healing? Maybe you can figure out how my story ends or what it all means, because to be honest with you, I still don't know, and I really don't care anymore. I've got work to do to spread more love. People in the withdrawal community don't need my help. They need my love. Maybe this is simply my calling. I don't know. But I do know one thing. I just love taking all of your wonderful calls every day and all of your messages. All of you are opening my heart. And that's what my healing looks like. Okay, folks? This is my miracle story for the people that are going through a benzodiazepine or a psych med withdrawal this morning. I've gone through all those, and this is what's come out of all mine. Something I can't explain, an actual miracle. You know, this may seem kind of hokey. It does seem hokey. But it's hope, folks. There's something more going on besides the five senses. Before my withdrawals and while I was on those psych meds, I was rather bitter and rather jaded. And living that kind of life without God, I was frightened. I don't think I can take the pain away, but maybe by sharing with you this story, I can help ameliorate the fear. The fear that we're all alone in this and we're not. It's much like footprints in the sand. Maybe I could write a new poem instead of footprints on the sand. Maybe it might be hairbands on the asphalt. So I hope this helps you folks. Message me. You watch my other videos. Message me and reach out. When we connect, we all get better. We do this in community. Okay, folks? I love you all. You're going to be fine. And remember, I say this in all my videos. Take a deep breath. You've not been damaged because who you are cannot be damaged. God bless. Love you all. Kenneth Price.